do you expect to hear from President William Ruto in his State of the Nation address today?
Thank you, Olive, and Lofty, for having me.
Hold up. Yes, there you go.
Thank you for having me. Let me start by saying that today's State of the Nation address by the President is a constitutional requirement. Remember, we have 2 articles of the Constitution that speaks to some requirements from the Office of the Executive. The first one is Article 240 of the Constitution that talks about National Security Council, which is chaired by the President, and among the membership is the Deputy President, Attorney General, 3 Cabinet Secretaries, the one in charge of Defense, Foreign Affairs, and the other one in charge of Internal Security, and also the head of the Chief of Defense Forces is a member of the National Security Council. There is the Director General of Police, and of course the Inspector General of Police, and the Director General of NIS, together with the Attorney General, I think I mentioned. Those are members of the National Security Council. So there is a requirement in the Constitution that once every year that the National Security Council must provide or give a report to Parliament. And that report is not spelled out that you have to give address, but you see it is a requirement that you have to give a report. So the President gives that report on behalf of the National Security Council on the state of security of the nation. So that is one requirement. The other requirements, again, there are 2 other requirements of the Constitution. One is that you go to Article 132 of the Constitution, that now there is the President.
The functions of the President.
The functions of the President. One of the things that is required of the President is once every year again to address the nation. It doesn't say you have to address the nation from precincts of Parliament or from National Assembly, but it says you address the nation.
Wait. Does that mean he can announce Twitter watu media State House?
He can even address it from State House. He can address it from the KICC or even at Uhuru Park, so long as he addresses the nation on the values which are spelled out under Article 10 of the Constitution. And I know we'll get to the details of those values. But lastly, there is also a requirement. Again, I need to emphasize that report, that address to the nation must be gazetted. So that is a requirement, that it has to be gazetted on the achievements or the steps taken to achieve the values are spelled out under Article 10. Now, the other issue, the last one, that is also a requirement, is that once every year again, the President needs to provide a report to the National Assembly. And I'm very careful with my words. Now it is the National Assembly on the fulfillment of our international obligations. Now, if you combine all those 3, the President may find it fit to use one stone to kill all the 3 birds by appearing on the floor of the National Assembly to address the meeting of Parliament, both Senate and National Assembly, and then address issues of the security or national security, address issues of the national values, and also address the issues of fulfillment of international obligations. And then provide a document that now will be discussed. It will have fulfilled the requirement of national security, the report that is supposed to provide to Parliament. He will have also fulfilled the requirement that he needs to provide a report to the National Assembly on fulfillment of international obligation, and finally he will have addressed the nation.
Lofty, I'll translate if need be.
Nafikiri nimeelewa kwa sababu ametaja vitu vitatu kwamba ndio muhimu zaidi kwa mujibu wa matakwa ya rais, na kimoja ni kwamba atazungumzia masuala, anahitajika kuzungumzia kila mwaka masuala ya usalama, vitengo vyote vya usalama, ripoti zote asaziwasilisha pale bungeni katika mabunge mawili kwa ajili ya taifa. La pili ni maadili ya taifa. Tuko wapi kama taifa katika maadili yote na utendakazi? La pili ni majukumu ya taifa letu katika rubaa za kimataifa. Tumesimama wapi kwa maana ya international obligations. Sio mheshimiwa?
Exactly.
Kwa hivyo mimi nafikiri swali langu litakuwa ni
I've learned that values is called maadili.
Na mimi nimesikia
rubaa za kimataifa.
That's what international obligations. Internationally.
Nafikiri swali langu kwa mheshimiwa, utachagua kulijibu Kiswahili ama Kiingereza maana tuko katika mchanganyiko maalum, ni kwamba kwa sasa hivi watu wengi huwa mara nyingi sana wakisubiri rais akitoa hotuba yake, hata wakati wa aliyeondoka Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, ni kwamba wanatarajia agusie uchumi ukoje, ni wapi kumeshuka, ni wapi kumepanda. Lakini ukiangalia vitu vitatu ulivyotaja, hakuna kimoja ambacho kinaenda moja kwa moja kwa haya ambayo Wakenya utarajia. Wakenya wana matarajio mengi kupita kinachohitajika kwa rais.
Yeah, let me maintain English because I had started speaking in English and in compliance with standing orders of the National Assembly, that once you start speaking in a particular language, you will continue up to the end. Now, I want to be very clear that when you talk about the national values is a very wide topic. If you go to Article 10 of the Constitution on National Values, you'll find things like patriotism. He has to address that. National unity, he has to address that. He has to talk about the rule of law, democracy, sharing and devolution of power. He has also to talk about issues of inclusivity. He has to talk about integrity, transparency and accountability. Read corruption. And finally, there is the last part that talks about sustainable development. So he has to address the nation on sustainable development. You cannot realize sustainable development without talking about economy, without talking about the state of economy, on how where we are as a country in terms of the living standard, in terms of cost of living. So the president must address himself. And that, to me, should take a larger percentage of his address.